gonna say a word. Just watch.
Hello, welcome to the podcast of Kabbalah Vision, the connection point between the order of the invisible world and our souls. I am Luri, your guide who will accompany you on this journey of wisdom today. Okay, let's just dive right in. Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're going straight into, well, some of the most challenging material out there, the Zohar's interpretation of Cain and Abel from Genesis 4.
And this really is a mission brief for those already in the know.
Yeah.
We're not going to spend time defining the 10 Sephirot or, walking through Lurianic cosmology from the ground up.
No, not at all.
Our goal is much more surgical.
Yeah.
We're looking at how the Zohar takes all those Kabbalistic concepts you're familiar with and applies them to the story of the first murder. It transforms it from a simple story of jealousy into something much bigger.
A blueprint for cosmic failure and maybe cosmic repair.
Exactly. We're assuming you, our listener, are familiar with the architecture of the divine worlds, so today we need to see the mechanism in action.
Right.
Our sources show that the shedding of blood wasn't just some, random act of violence. It was, metaphysically speaking, almost inevitable given the state of the universe at that time. That's the core question we're really dissecting here. How did the cosmic environment of duality and the leftover spiritual residue from Adam's sin create the perfect conditions for murder? We're moving past psychology and into pure mechanics.
So let's start the deep dive right there, at the beginning of the problem. The spiritual fault lines that were inherited directly from Adam. What was the exact state of reality right after his sin?
Well, the Zohar is crystal clear on this. Existence itself was impaired. The moment the lower man, Adam, descended after that whole incident with the tree of knowledge, he became a vessel for a profound internal split.
A split?
Yeah. He contained two distinct spiritual sources. On one hand, you have the holy neshama, which represents the right side, that's mercy, or Chesed. And on the other, you have the living nefesh, representing the left side, that's judgment, or din.
So humanity's spiritual DNA was, fundamentally unbalanced from the very start. And Adam's sin just weaponized that imbalance.
Precisely. Adam's failure caused that left side, the side of severe judgment, to expand downwards without the balancing force of mercy to check it. This spiritual catastrophe immediately corrupted the physical world.
How so?
It triggered the expansion of the Sitra Akra, the other side, which the Zohar here calls those who have no body. It basically means the forces of impurity were suddenly given space to manifest physically.
I see. So if Adam himself was fractured into these two opposing forces, Chesed and Din, then his sons, they must have inherited that split, right? And then it just plays out physically between them.
They absolutely did. Our Lurianic sources confirm this. Cain and Abel literally took the nefesh of Atzilut directly from Adam Harishon. You can almost see them as dividing Adam's dual spiritual inheritance between them. Cain takes the left, Abel the right.
Wow.
And that inheritance meant the world itself was broken. It was unstable. The Shekinah, the divine feminine presence, Malchut on earth, was repelled because of this severe spiritual imbalance.
And the Zohar has a specific word for this, doesn't it?
It does. It describes the earth as makabla, an Aramaic word meaning corrupted. It became subject to an other spirit, setting the stage for violence because the very foundation of reality was broken.
Okay, so this takes it way beyond simple jealousy. If the world is makabla, then the murder, as the Zohar sees it, is the full physical explosion of that primordial duality that was never fixed.
It was the universe venting its internal pressure. That's a great way to put it. A necessary outbreak of a cosmic disease. The Zohar makes a direct and frankly chilling connection between Cain's action and the immediate activation of specific destructive forces.
What kind of forces?
It says that at that exact moment, a color of fire descends into the world. And that is the direct metaphysical cause of all killings and bloodshed that follow.
A color of fire. That is incredibly specific. How does that connect back to the structure of judgment you mentioned?
That fire is the raw, unchecked expansion of din. The sources explain that this happens because the fourth grade of the other side is activated. This destructive force is sent out, and it specifically gets permission in the lower world to shed blood.
Permission?
Yes, it wasn't random. Permission was granted because Cain's action was the perfect physical expression of that unchecked left side he inherited from Adam. The spiritual imbalance finally translated into the ultimate physical crime.
So, with the world in such a compromised state, I have to assume the damage wasn't just contained to that one event?
Not even close. The world was still missing its full tikkun, its repair. The Zohar calls this initial corruption the world's zuhama, its impurity, and it was a persistent problem.
You can see that later on, too.
You can. The sources are quick to point out that even Noah, this great righteous figure, was born before this specific zuhama was lifted from the world. The whole cosmic system just remained functionally broken, capable of generating violence, until a formal mechanism for repair could be put in place.
And that structural need for repair brings us to the next big question. If this duality of Chesed and Din failed so spectacularly, ending in murder, how did the system later provide a formal, a ritualized path to harmonize those exact same forces?
This is where the Zohar gives us the solution to the riddle. You have to contrast Cain's failed offering with the established temple service. Cain's sacrifice, which was rejected, led to murder. The system later formalized in the Torah was designed specifically to manage and contain the very forces of judgment that Cain unleashed.
So the temple sacrifice itself was a kind of metaphysical corrective.
A very precise one. You just have to look at the architecture of the ritual.
What specifically about it fixed the problem?
Think about the geography of the altar. The sacrificial animals, the offerings that were to be slaughtered, were required to be killed in the north.
The north. And in Kabbalistic cosmology, the north is the direction associated with Gevura, the severe aspect of Din, of judgment.
Exactly. And that is absolutely not a coincidence.
So you perform the act of killing on the side of judgment itself. Why? What's the logic there?
The intention, the Kavanaugh, was highly technical. By performing the slaughter, the act of taking life, which activates Din in the north, the ritual's explicit purpose was to break the spirit of severe judgment itself.
To fight fire with fire in a controlled way.
In a perfectly controlled way.
Yeah.
It forces mercy, rakami, to prevail over the pure destructive power of judgment. The ritual provides the exact controlled structure for balancing the duality that the two brothers, acting on their own, completely failed to achieve.
This changes everything. It means that every action, especially a ritual action, has cosmic consequences. This is what you need to take away from this. The worlds are all interconnected. As one source puts it, one spiritual realm is literally a throne for the other.
And that connectivity implies a profound and very heavy human responsibility. It's human actions that drive the repair. The Zohar teaches that performing mitzvot, the divine commands, when you do them with the proper mystical intention, or kavana, that is what is necessary to raise a man.
We've mentioned man before in passing, but let's just slow down for a second here. What exactly is man? How does it function?
Man stands for Mein Nukvin. Literally, it means feminine waters. But you can think of it as purified spiritual energy. It's like the ultimate spiritual currency that we generate through our devotion and our actions here on earth.
Okay.
So when we perform a commandment with the right kavana, we generate this energy. This, in turn, causes the lower worlds, Bariah, Yetziwa, and Asiya, to ascend and reconnect with the higher divine worlds.
So that's the mechanism of Tikkun. It's us sending this energy upward to repair the fragmentation that started with Adam and, well, exploded with Cain and Abel.
That's the mechanism.
This focus on such a profound fragmentation, it leads us right to the soul's need for more than one go-around. I mean, a foundational failure of this size, it seems obvious it would require more than one lifetime to fix.
Yes. This is the very context for the Kabbalistic concept of Gilgul, of reincarnation.
The Zohar is basically setting up the necessity for it right here.
It has to. The soul has to cycle back again and again to attain its final perfection, to finish that spiritual task. Our Lurianic sources see the goals of Tikkun, repairing the worlds, and Hasaga, attaining divine comprehension, as two inseparable sides of the same phenomena.
So it's a closed loop. The soul doesn't just return to fix the world.
No, it returns because it's only through the process of fixing the world that the soul can attain its own ultimate understanding of reality.
But what about the severity of the crime itself? Does the Zohar comment on just how hard it is to atone for something like the first murder?
Oh, absolutely. It highlights the severity. The Zohar reflects that certain sins are just so profound, and shedding of blood is chief among them, that they aren't fully atoned for until death itself. The damage is so great that the soul has to depart and mystically connect with the tree of death, which is Malchet in its lowest, most unrepaired state.
And we can actually see this failure reflected in, of all places, the structure of our prayers.
We can. The Zohar points out that the spiritual damage is so immense that it's mystically symbolized by the absence of the letter Vav in certain alphabetical prayers.
The Vav representing the tree of life, Etz Chaim.
Representing the tree of life. Its absence signifies a broken connection. The whole story just emphasizes the sheer difficulty of restoring a soul after such profound spiritual damage, which makes the cycle of Gilgul not a choice, but an absolute cosmic necessity.
So, to try and summarize this entire, very dense deep dive, the Zohar takes the biblical story of fratricide and elevates it far beyond just human drama. It makes it a foundational myth that explains cosmic duality, spiritual fragmentation, and most importantly, the urgent metaphysical need for human beings to engage in Tikkun. It's telling you that every single human life is another opportunity to correct that severe, dualistic spiritual inheritance left by the fall of the first man.
And what's really fascinating, and this sort of drives the whole Zoharic project, is that the Zohar itself isn't just presented as a book of theory. It's meant to be a mechanism for this cosmic repair.
A tool for Tikkun.
A tool. It's meant to act as a bridge to connect us to the Ein Sof, to the infinite, guiding the soul toward perceiving the true, unified nature of reality and moving beyond that initial catastrophic split between Cain and Abel, between Chesed and Din.
So, if the Zohar sees this clash as the first failed attempt to reconcile Adam's internal split between mercy and judgment, it leaves us with a really provocative final thought for you, the listener. Considering these principles of spiritual mechanics, what actions or even intentions in your own daily routine might be, maybe inadvertently, feeding the destructive expansion of the left side, that severe judgment, rather than actively working to harmonize those two forces within yourself? Something to ponder as you continue your own journey toward Tikkun. Sound disappears, but the wisdom contained within remains as light. Today's deep dive ends here. Producer Talmud K, and we will see you next time with deeper insights. Peace be with you all.
Peace be with you all.
알겠어. 진짜 한 말로 하는 게 아니야. Under the tongue, just prove it.